Hello dear students, in today's video we are going to discuss about the new chapter, this matter in our surroundings. So what do you mean by matter? The simple definition of matter is that matter is something which occupy space and has mass. So what do you mean by space? Space is the amount of region or space that is required to occupy one particular object and has mass. Suppose if you take an example of this object, so it has got mass, it has got weight, and at the same time, it needs some space for occupying. So such an object. So if you look at around it, so you can see a lot of objects. So which has got mass as well as uh, if you want to keep it somewhere, it requires some space. So something which is got mass as well as which needs a space to occupy, such substances are known as matter. So for example, you can see this we are going to discuss about certain properties of matter. So we have already seen certain properties of matter. So there are matter consists of very small particles, and second one, matter has got empty space between them, and the third one, particles of matter are continuously moving, and the last one, particles of matter attract each other. So these are the four properties of particles of matter. So here you can see. Let us see one by one. The first one, so it consists of small particles. So if you look at a particular chalk piece, here you can see a chalk piece. So if you break this chalk piece, you can see it will break up into small fine grains of chalk piece. You can see my hand. And similarly, so we can say everything. Suppose if you take a big piece of stone, so it will break up into, if you break it, it will break up into small tiny particles of sand. And similarly, if you consider any particular object, if you take an example, if this particular marker, if you go on dividing it again and again, at last we will reach a particular small particle or tiny particle of which we cannot divide the matter further. So that small substance, that smallest substance, that is known as particle. So we can say, if you take any example, any matter, wood piece or anything, even your body, everything is made up of matter. So matter, and that matter consists of very small particles. Just like if you take, say for example, a chalk piece, and if you cut it into different pieces, so at last you can make it into form of small powder. So even if you go on dividing that powder again and again, so you will be reaching a particular point from where you cannot divide that particular matter further smaller. So if you accumulate all these particles together, it will constitute matter. And the second thing, particles of matter has got space between them. So in order to understand that particular thing, so we perform one activity about, if you take a glass full of water, it's about 3/4 of full of water, and if you add some amount of sugar or salt in it, after marking the level of water, so if you add a very small amount of sugar or salt into it, and if you stir it and dissolve it, what will you observe? Uh, After some time, the sugar or salt particles that will get dissolved in the water, so as to make sugar solution or salt solution. After all, we won't get any, we won't be able to see the sugar particles. So they are so minute. You can understand one more thing. And at the same time, if you observe water level, the water level, it has not at all increased. The water level is not at all increasing. So that means what? There are, suppose if you consider these are the particles of matter. So this is one particle, the second particle. So between these two particles, there exists some empty space. So when you dissolve, suppose if you imagine these are water molecules or water particles. So as you add sugar or salt, so that will get into the empty spaces between the particles of water. So as a result, you will not observe any rise in height of water level. So if you take small amount of water in a beaker and mark the level of water, and say if you add some amount of sugar or something, so after all dissolving in it, so the water level will remain the same as it is. The level of water will remain the same as. The reason is that between the particles of water, between the particles of water, there exist small spaces, empty spaces between the particles of water, and to that empty space, these small particles of sugar or salt is getting in. So as a result, you won't see any rise in the level of water in this case. So we can prove that particles of matter just got empty space between them. Then the third one, particles of matter are continuously moving. So for that we took some small amount of water in a beaker. Suppose we started heating this particular beaker. So after adding a small amount of few drops of ink, what will happen? As you heat, what is happening? You are supplying heat energy in the form of heat energy. See, so as you heat the molecules, the particles of water, they will have high kinetic energy. They will have high kinetic energy, and as a result, the water molecules, the particles of water will start moving very fast, and as a result, what will happen? The drop of ink that will spread very fast, or they will diffuse very fast. So as a result, we will be able to see the color of ink is getting spread throughout the medium very fast. So with that activity we can understand the particles of matter are got continuously moving. And suppose if you take an incense stick and just light it and keep it in the corner of your room, so after some day you can get the smell of that incense stick. So this is the reason. So what is it? Suppose if your mom is cooking food in the kitchen, so after some day some tasty dishes are being prepared, so instantly you will get the smell of that particular dish in the room. So even without going to kitchen, you can understand, oh, this and this thing or Maggie or noodles or whatever may be, so that is getting ready in the kitchen. So at the same time, so what is happening actually? The particles of that particular aroma, that is spreading from the kitchen to your room, so and getting into your nose. So similarly, we can understand the particles of matter are moving continuously, just like the water flowing from one place to another, or wind flowing from uh, one place to another, wind or air moving from one place to another. So particles of matter are continuously moving. And the fourth property, the particles of matter attract each other. So in that sense, we can take say an example. If you take this particular chalk piece or particular, if you take the example of this particular thing, and if you apply a force, you will find it difficult to break this. Suppose at the same time, if you take a chalk piece, small chalk piece, and if you apply a small amount of force, it will break up into two. So that means what? So it can just before it was remaining as a single piece. So as I applied the force, what happened? It uh, broken. It has got broken. So when you apply a force, and as a result, these particles were tied together. But as you applied the force, it got broken down. And similarly, you can see certain materials. Suppose if you take an example, say iron nail. So if you apply with that force, you cannot break this. So this particular iron nail, the particles of matter of this particular iron nail, they are bound, they are attracted uh, together with very high amount of force. They are the particles are having very high force of attraction. So we cannot break this particular iron nail with uh, less force. And similarly, suppose you can move your hand through water very easily. So, with the same force, can you move your hand through this wooden bottle? You cannot. So, the particles of matter of particular water, it has got less force of attraction. So, that's why we are able to move our hand through it. Okay. Similarly, we can see air. You can move easily through air. You can move your hand more easily compared to that of water. So that means the particles of gases, they have got less force of attraction. So I hope you understood this particular point. So just have a revision. So matter in our surroundings. So what do you mean by matter? Matter is something which occupies space and has mass. So there are four properties of matter. So matter is made up of very small particles. And second one, the space, it has got space between them. And the third one, particles of matter are continuously moving. And the fourth one, they attract each other. Okay, I hope you understood this session, and the experiments related to these things I will be explaining through other video uh, using experiments. Okay, so you can listen to that and then you will understand that. And soon after this video, I will be posting those videos related to these experiments. So watch those videos carefully, and if you have got any questions or doubts, you can contact me through WhatsApp, or I'll be available. You can ask me any doubts. Okay, I'm happy to help you. So study well and stay safe. Okay, thank you.